And there's another story that I came across, and I'm going to tie these together. In Genesis 38, I'm going to start in verses 6 through 11. Judah took a wife for his firstborn. Her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord put him to death. Then Judah said to Onan, "Go into your brother's wife and perform the duty of a brother-in-law to her. Raise up offspring for your brother." But since Onan knew that the offspring would not be his, he spilled his semen on the ground whenever he went in to his brother's wife, so that he would not give offspring to his brother. What he did was displeasing in the sight of the Lord, and he put him to death also. Then Judah said to his daughter-in-law Tamar, "Remain a widow in your father's house until my son Shelah grows up." For he feared that he too would die like his brothers. So Tamar went to live in her father's house. So did wicked in the sight of the Lord. We don't know what exactly, because there's nothing else specified here. And the Lord put him to death. It's not that he allowed circumstances where he became vulnerable and he was killed by somebody else. The Lord killed him. And similarly, the Lord killed Onan also. So the Lord killed in this case, but he didn't kill in the other one. So, but the real interesting stuff comes later in this passage, verses 12 through 18. In the course of time, the wife of Judah, Shua's daughter, died. When Judah's time of mourning was over, he went up to Timnah to his sheep shearers, he and his friend Hira the Adullamite. When Tamar was told, "Your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep," she put off her widow's garments, put on a veil, wrapped herself up, and sat down at the entrance to Enaim, which is on the road to Timnah. She saw that Shelah had grown up, yet she had not been given to him in marriage. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be a prostitute, for she had covered her face. He went over to her at the roadside and said, "Come, let me come in to you," for he did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. So if she wasn't his daughter-in-law, this would have been perfectly fine. She said, "What will you give me that you may come in to me?" He answered, "I will send you a kid from the flock." And she said, "Only if you give me a pledge until you send it." He said, "What pledge shall I give you?" She replied, "Your signet and your cord, and the staff that is in your hand." So he gave them to her and went into her, and she conceived by him. The thing that stands out to me in this passage is that not only Judah seeking a prostitute seems to be entirely normal, but the way that he nonchalantly talks about it makes it sound like this kind of thing is almost commonplace. I know that his wife had died at the time, but it seems like, why don't we just go out of the city and catch some tail? Seems to be a family tradition. And the resolution to this story is in verses 24 to 26. About 3 months later, Judah was told, "Your daughter-in-law Tamar has played the whore. Moreover, she is pregnant as a result of whoredom." And Judah said, "Bring her out and let her be burned." As she was being brought out, she sent word to her father-in-law, "It was the owner of these who made me pregnant." And she said, "Take note, please, whose these are, the signet and the cord and the staff." Then Judah acknowledged them and said, "She is more in the right than I, since I did not give her to my son Shelah." And he did not lie with her again. And we don't hear about this anymore. The next chapter in Genesis is about Joseph. So we have who was killed by God for doing who knows what, and Onan was killed for pulling out prematurely. But then we have Tamar, who prostitutes herself, and Judah wanted to burn her, but because it was incest, then that makes it all right and she's not burned anymore. And Judah doesn't face any consequences either. Just like the sons of Jacob didn't face any consequences for destroying the city of Shechem. So it seems to me that the formula that we can get out of chapters 34 and 38 of Genesis is that pulling out equals God death. Genocide, prostitution, and incest does not equal God death.